Okay, so now that we have the database up and running, the entire project is actually running right now. We can check that with docker ps-a. Okay, so we can see the front end is up, the back end, the database is up. And we're going to go ahead now and create our endpoints for using the database. I'm going to start with the list to-dos endpoint. So here I'm going to have another describe block here. And what I'm going to say is get, this is a get request of to-dos and list to-dos. And this is going to use supertest now to test the API itself. So we need to bring in supertest. We're going to import supertest from supertest. And supertest is going to interact with our API. So this is going to need to be an async function. And here I want to say const response equals await and supertest, we feed it the app dot get to-dos. Okay. And the first thing that I want to see here is that it gives me back a 200 status code. So the truth is, I don't need this in here to be async. I do need it to be in another test. So it returns status 200. This is going to be an async test. Now we're going to say expect the response dot status code to be 200. When this runs, it fails. And the reason here that it's failing, it's showing a 404, which makes perfect sense because our server doesn't have a to-dos route yet. So here I'm just going to say to-dos, and that's all I'm going to change right now. And that passes the test. Okay, now notice that this obviously is not what we want to happen in the end. So we just have to keep writing tests until it tests everything we want to do. So I also want to make sure that it actually returns JSON. So I'm going to say it returns content type JSON. I want to make sure that the headers are correct here. So async and close that off. So we're going to do the same exact thing here. Only the expectation is going to be different now. We're going to expect res.headers, the content type header. And here we can use a regular expression. We can do other things, but this is fairly simple and straightforward to understand. String containing the string JSON. Okay, and we will see here that we didn't get JSON. We want this to be application JSON. Instead, we got text HTML. So we're going to come in here now, and the way Express works, if we send any kind of object or array or whatever, it's going to automatically do that. So I'm just going to send in an array right now, and it automatically passes this test. And the next thing here that we want to do is we want to be sure that it will actually return an array. Now, in this particular case, I do have it returning an array, which means that this test is going to pass by default. So I'm going to go ahead and fail the test right now for a second and say it returns an array of to-dos. And we'll say const res equals await super test again of the app dot get to-dos. And here we're going to expect array that is array response dot be true. And do I have a mistake here somewhere? Yes, I forgot to say async. Okay, and we got false here. Now, if I go back here and change this to an array, all of our tests are passing. And that's fine, as it were, but obviously we need to actually return a list of arrays from, or I'm sorry, an array of to-dos from the to-dos table. And so to do that, we are going to go ahead and actually implement the database on this endpoint. We'll do that in the next video.